Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for joining us. We're suffering some technical difficulties here, so you're not getting the full screen. We'll still go through the slides, and we'll hopefully fix it as we're proceeding or progressing. If not, we'll try to do our best. I'm Frank Basa. I'm the president and CEO of Granada Gold Mines. The Granada Gold Mine is actually a former producer. It's located in northern Quebec. It's located on a Cadillac Trend. The first slide you see here is actually a picture of the mine site when we picked it up. Now, the thing in the middle is actually waste ore, and there was a fair amount of waste ore. A lot of it was taken off the property to build roads to cottages and fill in holes and things of that like. So we actually sampled it, and we found about 480,000 ton sample, 0.6 grams per ton. To the right and the left of the picture is actually a picture of some of the core we've drilled. We did about 90,000 meters in the last campaign, and so there's a fair amount of native gold in this deposit. So here we are. Let me just see if I can move this thing out of the way here for you. There we go. So we are in what we call the Cadillac Trend. It's kind of a famous mineralized structure in Canada. It starts in the province of Quebec. It goes through on the province of Ontario, finishes up in northern Manitoba. So it's a few hundred kilometers long, and majority of the larger mines that have been found on the Cadillac Trend. So if you look at the picture, you'll notice if you're going on the left-hand side, it's a Kirkland Lake gold mine. That's a high-grade mine that's in operation now. That mine has been operating for decades. It's very high grade. They've taken about 43 million ounces out of there. In Noranda, we're kind of right in the middle of the Granada properties, and actually in the city of Rouyn, Noranda, they've taken out about 14 million ounces. Cadillac, which is going to there's actually a town called Cadillac. They've taken out about 14 million ounces. The Malartic, that's where the Osisko mine was discovered. They came up with 10 million ounces at 1 gram. It's still in production. It's being operated now by Agnico and Yamana. And in Val-d'Or, they took out about 28 million ounces. Now in Val-d'Or, Eldorado is now operating an old mine that went through a lot of operators, and they bought Integra out for about $700 million. So moving along here, this is our land package. Originally, if you look at the main claim, we call it the big claim in the middle. This is where majority of the work was done historically, and also where we did our work. We originally started with what we call the main claim, was about 77 hectares. And in a short period of time, went from 77 hectares, as we're doing a 90,000 meter drill program, we went up to about 11,000 hectares. After the drill program, we defined what we should keep. So we right-sized the asset, the property, down to 1,400 hectares, and we only kept the structures. So if you look on the top, you'll see the Cadillac Break. There's 2 shafts on there. That actually belongs to another mining company. We are just below it on 2 other structures. One is called the Granada Shear Zone. You can see these boxes that are black and white. Those are shafts. These are the shafts where the mine was operated in the early days. And this is where they took ore out at about 9.7 grams a ton. And then if you look off to the right, you'll notice there's 2 other shafts there. These are just exploration shafts. And I think they took about 300 tons out of each one of them. And they took out stuff grading around 7 ounces a ton. So it's not unheard of to get these high grade zones on the Cadillac Trend. So these are pictures actually were taken yesterday. We've got a news release that we're going to start a bulk sampling trenching program. So the picture on the left is actually, we're stripping right now and getting ready for another drill program. So what we do is we strip, we find the structures, come to surface, and then we develop a drill program around the structures. The picture on the right is native gold, and this is normal for us. There's basically, through the studies we've done, 50% of the gold comes in the native format on this deposit. And this is what gives us these high grade numbers. So we're going to move along here to the next slide. So what we feel, the Granada Gold Mine is they're significantly undervalued and has significant growth potential. What we're trying to target is actually about 3 million ounces as a new resource. Right now we have 1.2 million open pittable, and we're looking at about 1.8 million thereabouts underground, grading around 4 to 5 grams a ton. Like I said, historically, they mined it at 9.7. So realistically, it's possible to get that type of target. And we're pretty good at hitting targets. So actually, the program is actually over 3 years and probably involved about 120,000 meters of drilling. So we've also, majority of our 90,000 meters we did was all shallow near surface, was to develop an open pit. But when the market was down in 2018, we did some deep drilling. So we drilled under the pit. And we also did another thing called the Genesis target. And the Genesis target was drilling fairly deep, closer to the Cadillac Break, and we did hit mineralized material there. As indicated, we only explored 20% of the structure, so we still have 80% to evaluate and to see what's really there. Also, some of the people are not aware, but we went and got our permits when the market was down. And getting permits in, like anywhere else, is quite complex nowadays. It's not one permit. We have to get 26 permits. So we are basically production ready, shovel ready, and we're allowed to ship rock to local mills. There's about 10 mills in the area. 4 of them are shut down, and the other 6 that are operating are also short rock. So this whole program was designed to be a shipping type of deposit, and that's how we went and got our permits. So the original design was to do what we call a rolling start, which was actually an 8 million ton bulk sample, of which 2 million to 600,000 tons was to be shipped to the local mills to get processed. When the local mills heard how much we're trying to send, basically we would take over their mills for 3 years. A lot of them declined. So the grade was actually, the 600,000 tons was to be at 4.3 grams a ton. So it came in about 650, 800 cash cost all in. So near-term plans, like we said, where we started drilling and we're going to keep on drilling. And normally the way we do it, we do small drill program, and then we just accelerate it. And last time we did that, we basically drilled about 90,000 meters and came up with our main resource. We're only focusing on what we call vein structure number 1. This is the one that was historically mined, and also some very large bulk samples were taken out of it. The underground grades were, like I said, 9.7 grams per ton. Bulk sample grades on surface, open pittable, or anywhere from 5 grams to 3.5 grams per ton. So what we're trying to do is also some bulk sampling. The reason we're doing bulk sampling on vein 1, we're allowed to take 500 tons. We're targeting at this stage of the program only 30 to 50 tons. So here are some drilling highlights. What we've done, we've changed our drill pattern. We're focusing on specific structures within this mineralized zone. The actual mineralized zone, like we said, is about 5.5 kilometers long. It's actually 350 meters thick. But within that thickness, there's 9 to 22 vein structures that pinch and swell, come and go. So we focused only on one. And last year, we did a very small drill program to test the drill model. And some of the results are here on this slide. So we got, one of the holes was 11 grams over 33 meters. And another hole was 12 grams at 2 meters. Another hole was 11.5 grams at 2 meters, 3 meters. And then, of course, there's another hole at 7.7 grams over 15 meters. This is normal for certain structures. So we are looking at developing something like this going forward. This has been followed now for about 500 meters going east. So again, some of the highlights we just mentioned, but what really causes some of these things to really spike, you'll notice sometimes we have these very high grades, like 42 grams, 42.5 grams over 1.5 meter, or 480 grams per ton over 0.4 meters. And this is massive native gold. And what we do a weighted average, and that's how you get these very large grades over long widths. This was our program in 2018. This is what I said we wanted to test if there's any mineralization of value under the pit. And we did find 6 meters. It was a small drill program, 6 meters grading 8.4 grams a ton. And again, you'll notice there's some very high grades, 12 grams over 4 meters, 45 grams over 1 meter. Again, it's because of the native gold component. We also tested what we call the Genesis discovery. This is very close to the Cadillac Break. It was a deep hole. And I think the hole actually ended up being, because we drilled at an angle, it came to about 1.6 kilometers, but we were able to hit a very high grade zone at depth, which was about 5.5, I should say, grams over 4 meters. Within that, again, there was 14 grams per ton over a meter and a half. So this is actually pit. This is our open pit. Originally, the pit was at 2.6 million ounces. We did a constraint pit resource, brought it down to 1.2. So basically, you're looking at about 1.2 in all the categories, grading about a little over a gram. So here's a section. This is a section of actually a mineralized zone. This is what I was talking about, being 350 meters thick, which has 9 to 22 vein structures in it. The old timers only focused on 3 veins, which was number 1, 2, and 5, and they basically left the other ones alone. So you'll see a little green line. That's our constrained pit. So anything below that was actually not part of the resource we just gave you. So you'll see that there's still about 1,400 meters of mineralization to drill through. So there seems to be, in the Cadillac Trend, is known for the deeper you go, the better the grades get. So here's our pit that we have. And like I said, we might be making it smaller, or we might be extending it. What we're looking for is this high grade structure that was mined from underground at 9.7 and open pitted from 5 to 3.5 grams per ton. This is the actual, what we wanted to do, what we call the rolling start, and then followed by actually going into production. The pit, the green, is actually the higher grade material, grading about 4.3 grams a ton. That would have been about 600,000 tons. And the intent was to produce about 25,000 ounces a year for the first 3 years. And then after that, go with the larger pit and go to 80 to 100,000 ounces a year annual production for the open pit. So basically, you'll be looking for about a 10 to 12 year mine life for the open pit. And we still haven't looked at the underground, where we're looking at potential being about 1.8 million ounces, grading somewhere between 4 to 5 grams a ton. So yeah, repeating some of the things, deposit characteristics, structure goes east-west, very simple. It's in a straight line. It's dipping to the north at 50 degrees. It's 350 meters thick. It has 9 to 22 structures in it. Historically, they only looked at 3 of them, which is number 1, 2, and 5. And then, we did about 900 holes, about 120,000 meters. So we still have a lot to look at. We only about 20% explored. So some of these bulk samples I mentioned, these were taken in the 90s. So early 90s, about a little under 90,000 were taken out at 5 grams. This is, again, vein number 1. In 96, another 22,000 were taken out at about 3.5 grams. And in 2007, 32,000 tons were taken out. And this is actually vein 2. It's a different structure. The metallurgy is quite simple. It's basically gravity cyanidation, and it gives you about a 95% recovery. Very simple metallurgy. So we also looked at the waste pile. It was the first picture we showed you, and we wanted to see if we can take the waste and upgrade it instead of building roads with it and giving it away for free. Apparently, you can take very low grade material. We tested it with 1 gram material, and you can upgrade it to about 67 grams, about 2 ounces a ton. So the values are there. So in other words, we can do an easy upgrade, simple gravity upgrade. Our share structure is fairly simple. We're trading in the 14, 15 cent range. It's about a little, 10, 15 million market cap, less than 100 million shares. And we got a fairly tight share structure. So that's about it for our presentation. If there's any questions, please ask. We're known to give very short presentations, and we like to answer a lot of questions from potential investors.
Thank you, Mr. Basa. That was a great presentation. Is there a minimum investment?
No, there isn't. No. We just did a very small private placement. Originally, it was supposed to be only $500,000. And so we, within 4 days, went from 500,000 to 1.2. Then the price took off and the exchange wouldn't let us take any more money. So we got oversubscribed by an order of magnitude. And right now it's sufficient funds for us to run the drill program and the bulk sampling program. We'll be looking to do another financing probably in the fall, somewhere in September, and then carry on with the program.
All right, we have a question here from Joel. Where do you trade?
We trade on the venture, the TSX venture. We also have a listing on the NASDAQ. I think they call it QX, or I'm not certain. But apparently a lot of the people prefer to trade on the venture because it seems to be easier to get in and get out. We also have a listing in Germany, but we don't trade on Germany in Frankfurt.
Okay, thank you.
Go ahead.
When do you expect drill results from this drill campaign?
The drill results are probably showing up, and normally what we do, we have a steady flow. Then the drill results, once they start, more than likely the drill results, the first set of drill results will be coming out in July, and then usually we push pretty hard from September to March, which is PDAC, and then we try to get our story out, and we're very hard on the drilling and the talking.
Thank you. And what was the ticker, and can you buy it in the United States?
Yeah, you can buy it in the United States, but we'll go to the first slide and you can see the tickers on the first slide. Let me just take you right to the top, and I think they have it there. Yeah, if you look at the bottom of the slide, on the ventures GGM, and on the pink sheets, they call it the pink sheets, it's GBBFF, and Frankfurt is B6D. We don't trade on the Frankfurt, but we do have a listing there.
All right. What percentage of the company do you own?
The family owns a little under 20%, so it's kind of broken up between all the family members. We do private placement. The last private placement, we did $400,000 at 10 cents. So we buy our paper. I don't go in the market and buy. It's just we're block buyers. If I go inside, then I just end up driving the market for for a few days. Then it comes back down again.
And do you own any mines in other countries or have plans to expand?
Well, we have another company called CCW. It's called Canada Silver Cobalt Works. It was actually, the acid was actually in this company, and we took it out and put it into another shell because we did get an offer for this company in the last cycle. And at the last minute, the company decided to change the nature of the purchase. So we took it and we put it into another company, was trading at a penny and a half, 3 cents. And we took it up to a little over 80 cents. It's a high-grade silver asset. So normally what we do is, like I said, we take over. This was also a distressed asset, and the company was a distressed shell. It was actually halted. And in the first cycle, we took it from halted stock in 18 months. It was 121 million market cap. So I think in this cycle, I think gold might do better than the last cycle. Silver, I think, might do even better. So you can look at my other company. It's the symbol is CCW, and you can see what we do. On this one, we did a few false starts, and now it seemed to be. I think now, I think most of the gold companies will do quite well.
Thank you. Who are 2 to 3 top institutional investors?
Say that again. I didn't hear that.
Who are 2 to 3 top institutional investors?
Well, we don't have any institutionals that we're aware of. We did have in the life cycle. Normally, once we hit about 100 million market cap, then all the institutionals, especially the people in New York, come out and pick up the paper And that's what happened last time. Once we broke through 100 million, and then the stock went crazy to 121, like within a matter of days. And so it's a nice project. It's on the Cadillac Break. I think it'll be probably 3 million ounce deposit. More than likely, we hit another 100 million market cap. I don't think it'd be that hard to do.
We did have one more question about how do we buy it again? Is it sold on an exchange?
Yeah, it's sold on a TSX Venture Exchange. It's the best one to get into. If you get your broker to buy there, you can try to buy on the Nasdaq, but it's kind of very hard to buy there and sell. So, see, most of my investors are all over the world. I should say they're actually quite a few of them are in the States, but they all buy and they trade. We have an oil man in Texas who's a big shareholder, and he buys on the Venture Exchange.
Do you think we can see revenues on either CCW or GGM?
I think what might happen with GGM will be taken out. There's three groups that have been walking on their property for over a year. What's going to happen on the Cadillac Trend, there's 10 mills within haulage distance of our deposit. 4 of them are shut down because they have no rock. The other 6 are looking for rock. And, if the price is right, we will probably step aside and then, let them take us out, and they'll give us what we call paper for paper. And, we only did 20% exploration, so whoever comes in can do another 80% of the exploration, and they might be able to take it past the 2 million ounces. Because we're still only going to stay in the 2%, in the 20% of the exploration, which is only 2 kilometers of the structure. If you notice, there's 2 structures on our property. When you add it all up together, it comes to about 8 kilometers. And we only look at 2 kilometers. And so 25% of the structure has been explored. So, it was designed like that. And, same with our permits, was designed to be shovel ready. So we want to make ourselves much more amenable than somebody else with a property without permits. And permits are complicated now. And that took us 2 years and 6 million in studies to do.
All right, thank you. There don't appear to be any other questions at the moment, but I appreciate your time. It was a phenomenal presentation, and if anybody wants to leave you a message on the message board here in the booth, then they can ask further questions there. So thank you again for your time.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Have a wonderful day. Thanks.